Hello, welcome to the 8th grade math practice where we're going to review solving practical problems involving rational numbers, percents, ratios, and proportions. So let's begin. So for this first problem, we have to find which proportion can be used to find p. So if you take a look at the answer choices, you'll see that you're not actually solving the problem. You are just setting it up as if you are going to solve it. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we have here. Let's read the problem thoroughly. Jessica can draw 3 pictures in 10.5 hours. At this rate, how many pictures can she draw in 4 hours? All right, so what we're going to do here is set up a proportion. And I like to think of this as setting up a given ratio like units. So what do I mean by that? So let's take a look at this here. We have 3 pictures in 10.5 hours. Okay, so this is telling us how many pictures Jessica can draw in a certain amount of time. And at this rate, how many pictures, so this is what we do not know, can she draw in 4 hours? So what do I mean by setting up a given ratio? So this is the given ratio, 3 pictures in 10.5 hours. So I'll set it up like so. So we have 3 pictures in 10.5 hours. And that's equal to how many pictures can she draw in 4 hours. So the variable p will go here because I'm lining this up like units. Okay, so we have pictures here, and then how many pictures can she draw in 4 hours? Well, we have 4 hours here, and notice it's lining up with hours here. So these are like units. Okay, so we have the given ratio, like units. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what the correct setup is. Because remember, we're not actually solving, right? All right, so let's take a look at the answer choices here. So right away, we can see that we can eliminate answer choices A and B, right? Because the setup is not the same. What about answer choice C? Be careful with this because this can trick some people, because you'll probably look at the first setup here and think, okay, this is the correct answer choice. However, you have to be very careful with this. You have to look at both sides, okay? So we have 3 in 10.5 hours here, and then we have 4 pictures over how many pictures over here. Okay, so, or 4 hours over how many pictures here. So this is not the same setup, right? What about answer choice D? Well, we have 3 in 10.5 hours, and then we have P in 4 hours. So this is the correct setup here. So answer choice D is the correct answer choice. So let's move on to the next one. So we have question number 2, where it says Daniel saved money to purchase speakers that originally cost $180 excluding tax. The electronics store discounted the speakers by 20%. What is the discounted price he will pay for the speakers without tax included? So this may seem like it's overwhelming to a lot of people. However, if you just take your time with this, then it would not be that difficult. All right, so we see here that Daniel did end up saving money for speakers that originally cost $180, right? And so we see that those speakers were discounted by 20%. And it's asking us what is the discounted price he'll pay for these speakers, okay, without the tax included. So when you are purchasing something, you're always purchasing it at that full value or 100%, correct? But since we see that the speakers were discounted by 20%, we can't subtract here. All right, so you start off with 100%. Okay, you're paying 100% of something. But if something is being discounted by 20%, well, you subtract 20% from the 100%. And that's equal to 80%. And so in this case, since you see that now he's only going to be paying 80% for the speakers, right? Instead of 100% or full price, okay? So that means we could take this 80% and you're multiplying it by the cost of $180, which is the full price, okay, without the discount. Now, since we are multiplying 80% by $180, we can't just simply multiply like this. This percent has to be turned into a decimal. So we do that by moving the unwritten decimal point 2 places over to the left. Okay, and so that's 0.8 times $180. Okay, and so when you multiply that, your answer here is $144. And you could have easily just eliminated answer choices C and D right off the bat, because you know that the original cost was $180, and you know that the discounted price will not be more than $180, right? So answer choice A is the correct answer as stated. On to question number 3. So it reads, a librarian knows that 35% of the library's books will be returned on the due date. The library has a total of 3,020 books. How many of the library's books will not be returned on the due date? Okay, so this can be set up as a proportion. However, we need to take our time with this because we need to find out how many books will not be returned on the due date, right? But it starts off stating that a librarian knows that 35% of the books will be returned on the due date. So this implies that there is a percentage that will not be returned on the due date, right? So here we have to subtract. So we have 100% minus 35% of the books that will be returned on the due date. And to find out how many books will not be returned, we have to subtract 35% from 100%, which is equal to 65%. Okay? So this is the percentage that will not be returned on the due date. So I mentioned that we need to set up a proportion, so let's go ahead and do that. So the standard proportion is X over total, or X amount of dollars, is equal to percent over 100. So what do we do with this proportion? Well, we fill in what we do know, okay? So here we have X, which we still do not know because we have to find out how many books will not be returned on the due date. And then T is for total. So we know that the library has a total of 3,020 books as mentioned here. So we'll place 3,020. Oops. And I'm putting a $sign when it should just be 3,020. So that's 3,020. And this is equal to percent over 100. Now be careful here because you may be tempted to place 35 over 100. But in reality, we're trying to find out how many books were not, or how many books will not be returned on the due date. So we've already found the percentage of how many books will not be returned. So this is what we have to place in the second setup here. So that would be 65 over 100. Okay, and then you can solve for X as you normally would. And so doing the math, cross multiplying and looking for X, that is 1,963 books that will not be returned on the due date. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 4. Question number 4. So it says here, Gloria had a beginning checking account balance of $545.53. She made 1 deposit and 2 withdrawals as shown. So we can see here where she has 2 withdrawals and 1 deposit. And then it's asking us what was Gloria's checking account balance after her withdrawal on May 18th. Okay, so we're going to take all of this into consideration. So we know that she's started with a beginning balance of $545.53. So in order to find out what her balance was after her withdrawal on May 18th, we have to take into consideration all of the events that happened with her account here as far as withdrawals and deposits are concerned. Okay, so we see here that she made a withdrawal of $28.75 on May 16th. So we have to take this into consideration. So we're subtracting here. Okay, so we have $545 minus $28.75, which is equal to $516.78. Okay, and then on May 17th, she made a deposit of $120. So she added to her checking account. Okay, and so that is $636.78. And then she made a withdrawal of $72.35. So you have to subtract. So that's $72.35. And so that left her with a remaining balance of $564.43, which is answer choice B. All right, so let's move on to question number 5. Okay, number 5. At a go-kart track, you can purchase 12 tickets for $10. Rick is going to spend $70 on tickets. How many tickets will he receive? So you can probably recognize that this is a proportion problem. So you can set this up as far as given ratio like units, all right? So we see that you can purchase 12 tickets for $10. So let's set this up. So we have 12 tickets for $10, okay? And then it says Rick is going to spend $70 on tickets. How many tickets will he receive? Okay, so how many tickets will he receive? So I'm going to set this up as a given ratio like units, right? So we see here that we can represent the amount of tickets he'll receive with the variable t. And notice I'm putting it right next to 12 tickets, right? Because these are like units. And then we see that he's going to spend $70. So $70 goes right next to the $10. And then you can solve from there. Okay, so we see that we can cross multiply 10 times t, which is 10t, is equal to, and then we have 12 times 7, which is 84, add on the 0, so that's 840. Divide by 10. We can see that the two zeros can cross each other out, and so we're left with t is equal to 84. So that means he'll be able to receive 84 tickets, which is answer choice D. So let's move on to number 6. So for number 6, it says Janet bought a new jacket. It was priced at $54, but there was a 15% discount. Janet handed the cashier 3 $20 bills. How much change did she receive? Okay, so we see here where Janet purchased a new jacket that was originally priced at $54, but she got it at a 15% discount rate. All right, and then from here we see where she handed the cashier 3 $20 bills, and they would like to know how much change she received. Okay, so first things first, we see here that if Janet did not get a 15% discount, she would be paying 100%, right? So, or full price. But since she ended up receiving a 15% discount, we are going to subtract the full amount. So the full amount minus the 15% discount rate. And that will let us know what she ended up paying. All right, so 100% minus 15% is 85%. So that means she paid 85% price instead of 100%. Okay, so we're going to actually multiply 85% by the full price amount of $54. Okay, so remember you have to convert this percent into a decimal. So that means this will become 0.85 times $54. And this is equal to $45.90. But wait a minute, we're not finished yet, right? It says here that she handed the cashier three $20 bills. So how much did she hand the cashier? Well, 3 times 20 is 60, so we know that she handed the cashier $60 minus $45.90. And this will let us know how much change she ended up receiving. So she ended up receiving $14.10. Okay, so let's go on to number 7. Okay, so here it says Christy purchases a Jeep for $34,300. She takes out a 5-year loan with an interest rate of 3% per year. How much is the total interest Christy will pay over 5 years? Okay, so here we have an interest problem. So this is the formula that you'll use. Interest equals principal times the rate times the time. Okay, and so you're going to fill in the values with what you have here listed in the problem. So we see that she purchased the Jeep for $34,300 and she took out a 5-year loan with an interest rate of 3% per year. All right, and so we're going to fill in these values here. And notice that we need to find out the total interest she ended up paying over the 5 years period. Okay, so we have the interest, which is equal to the principal. And remember, the principal is the price here. So that's $34,300 multiplied by the rate, which is at 3%. And remember, you have to convert this percent into a decimal. So that is 0.03 times the 5 years. And remember, I've moved the unwritten decimal point 2 places over to the left. That's how I came up with 0.03. Okay, and then you just simply multiply these values together. And she ended up paying $5,145 in interest over a 5-year span or a period of time. So let's move on to question number 8. So for number 8, it says, while shopping, Mario spotted a laptop listed at $800. However, it was on sale with a discount rate of 35%. What is the discounted amount? Okay, so here we see that it's listed at a price of $800. And since it was discounted at 35%, we need to find what that discounted amount was. Okay, so here we can multiply. So we have 35% of $800. Okay, and so remember, you're just taking and you are converting this percent into a decimal, and so that becomes 0.35 times 800. Okay, and so he actually ended up paying, and we have 35% of $800, which is $280. I meant to say the discounted rate is $280, but notice we're not looking for how much he ended up paying. Now, if we were asked how much did he end up paying, then we would take and subtract 280 from the $800. Okay, so let's move on to question number 9. Todd and his girlfriend dined out for lunch. Their bill was $38.22. They left the waiter a 20% tip. How much did they pay in total? Okay, so their bill was $38.22 and they left the waiter a 20% tip. So we have to find out how much they paid in total. All right, so we can set this up as our standard proportion here. So we can say X over X amount of dollars is equal to percent over 100. And we're going to fill in what we do know. Okay, so we have X over X amount of dollars. In their case is $38.22. And that is equal to percent over 100, which is 20 over 100. All right, and so we can go ahead and cross multiply. So we have 100x, which is equal to, and we have $38.22 times 20. And that is equal to 764.4. And then we're going to divide by 100. All right, so solving for x, we see that we can move the decimal point 2 places over to the left. And so that gives us 7.64. Okay, so x equals 7.64. So now this indicates their tip amount, okay? So they gave the waiter $7.64, all right? So since they gave the waiter $7.64, we have to add that to their total bill of $38.22, okay? And so that is equal to, so we have $7.64 plus $38.22, which is equal to $45.86. Okay, and another way that you can look at this is by doing the following. So I'm going to wipe this out. And so we see here, since their bill was $38.22 and they left the waiter a 20% tip, well, we already know that they're paying 100% of their bill, right? And so since they're paying 100% of their bill, but they also left the waiter a 20% tip, and we need to find out how much they paid in total, we can add 20% to the 100% here. And that gives us 120%. So that means they paid 120% of their total bill, which is $38.22. And so remember, when you're multiplying and you have a percent, you have to convert it into a decimal. So you're doing the same thing. You're taking and you're moving the unwritten decimal point 2 places over to the left. And so that gives you 1.2 times the $38.22, which still leaves you the same amount that we solved in the beginning, $45.86. Okay, so let's move on to number 10. Okay, so for our last problem, it says a car that was priced at $18,200 in 2020 is now priced at $19,320. What is the percent increase? Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so here we have the formula where we have the new amount minus original amount divided by the original amount times 100. So I'm just going to place new minus old divided by old times 100. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So we see that a car was priced at $18,200 in the year 2020, but it's now priced at $19,320, and we're looking for the percent increase, and we have to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so let's fill in what we do know. So here we see that the new amount, that means what it is presently, is $19,320. So let's fill that in. Minus the old amount, which the price was $18,200 in the past. Okay, and then that is divided by the past amount, or the old amount, which is $18,200. And of course, we're multiplying by 100. Okay, so first things first, we're going to subtract the two values in the top here. So when we do that, we come up with a value of 1120, or 1,120. So I'll just place that over here. And that's over 18,200. Okay, multiplied by 100. So we're going to divide 1,120 by 18,200. And I'm going to, it's a long decimal, and since I know we're rounding to the nearest tenth, I'm going to place 0.06153. Okay, and we're multiplying this amount by 100, right? So we're just multiplying by 100, meaning that we're going to move the decimal point 2 places over to the right. Okay, and so that gives us 6.153. And so remember, we have to round to the nearest tenth. So in the tenths place, we have a 1, but in the next place value over is 5. So it's 5 or more. So we have to round 1 up to 2, all right? Because we have to add 1 to this 1. So that gives us 6.2%. So that means that the percent increase was 6.2%. So that's all we have for this lesson. I hope it was helpful to you, and I look forward to working with you in an upcoming lesson. Take care.